Right. Good afternoon to everybody. We will discuss world religions in this course. Okay. I have given you some form of syllabus for you to have some idea. As you can see in this course, I am not going to discuss different doctrines and history and things like that of each religion, which you can read from text. Rather than doing that, I will be talking more generally on world religions, okay? So, as you can see in the topics I'm going to discuss, they are not really long discussions on any particular religion. Now, if you want to know about Christianity or if you want to know about Islam, you will have to read some books, on those religions. And also I understand world religions are taught in this, the college in a different manner. So in this course we are not going to discuss any particular religions in detail, but we will be discussing in general. So basically we will be looking at what is religion, and then brief history and typology of religion, the ultimate goal in religion, paths to the ultimate goal, wisdom and faith, God, and then the concept of God, efforts to prove the existence of God, and then the Buddhist critique of God, and liberation, things like that. And towards the end we will be discussing discipleship or savaka or sravaka in religions, and also the religious teacher, the place of teacher in religion, and finally place of women in religion. So we will be looking at these general subjects. So in that sense, this course is kind of a survey of world religions, their common characteristics and differences. So this is what we are basically going to do in this course. I have given some list of text. Maybe you will have some of these texts so that you can read them. So basically, what is religion? A definition of religion. Now, in our discussion of religion, first we try to understand this term. What do we mean by religion? Now, when we see definition, how religion has been defined, we can also look at Buddhism, whether we can call Buddhism a religion in that sense, okay? So basically, when we look at the word religion, etymological meaning, the religion derives from Latin religio, which means obligation, bond, or sense of reverence. Basically, it comes from Latin term. As you know, many English terms originate from Latin or Greek languages, also some from Hebrew and that sort of languages. So religion derives from religio, which means obligation, bond, reverence. Now you can see that the basic concept of religio has obligation or bond or reverence to any particular person or particular God. So the basic idea of religion has been always if you try to understand the concept of religion, it has been connected to the obligation or bond or reverence. Now next we will look at some definitions. of religion. According to concise Oxford Dictionary, the belief in a superhuman controlling power, especially in a personal God or gods, entitles to obedience and worship. So now, when we try to understand the English concept, the best thing for us to do is to look at the standard dictionary. So the standard dictionaries give a definition. Now this is how Oxford Concise Dictionary, which is available to most of you, defines. So the religion is a belief in a superhuman controlling power. Superhuman means going beyond the human. So divine is superhuman, surpassing the human being. So belief in a superhuman controlling power, and also superhuman, that power is controlling power. It controls the world. It controls our life. So belief in a supernatural, superhuman controlling power. In a personal God or gods, in a personal God, God as a person, like in Judeo-Christian tradition, the gods' pictures are there. Pictures in the sense people draw how they consider, they conceive the concept of God. So in a personal God or gods, it can be also gods. And that God entitles obedience and worship. He entitles obedience and worship means he should get our obedience and also the worship from human beings. So that he is a superhuman God who entitles, who should receive the obedience and pay, the respect, worship. So that's how. And then the belief in a superhuman controlling power. The beliefs are usually in our mind. So we believe, our belief. So religion is basically, you can see, defined as a belief. Belief is something in our mind. Of course, later I will show you religion is not merely a belief. But when you try to define it, the basic idea is given as a belief in a superhuman controlling God. Okay. Now, this is one definition, the dictionary definition. And then we have another one, George Galloway. Man's faith in a power beyond himself, whereby he seeks to satisfy emotional needs and gains stability of life, and which he expresses in acts of worship and service. Now, man's faith in a power beyond himself. In a power beyond himself means in a religion you always believe in some God who is more powerful than yourself. Because if God is not powerful than yourself, there is no point, right? Because God must be able to help you. So therefore, it's basically the belief in a superhuman controlling power in a personal God or gods beyond himself, whereby he seeks to satisfy emotional needs. Now, you believe in a God in order to satisfy your emotional needs. What is meant by emotional needs is like human beings need sometimes protection. Human beings sometimes need some kind of assurance when they are really scared, when they are lost. So in such situations, people feel that they need the help of a God. So that is what is meant by emotional needs. Emotional needs. And also gains stability of life. When things are not certain or sure, you need some kind of supernatural power that causes you to be stable in your life. And which he expresses in acts of worship and service. And that faith, the person who has faith expresses it, act of worship. Worshipping and also service. Service means, doing many things. So here you can see man's faith in a power beyond himself, whereby he seeks to satisfy emotional needs and gain stability. Now, in fact, in the world, one reason why the belief in God is very popular, we know that if you take number of people who believe in God, different countries. Now, Buddhism is not the most widespread religion in the world. Most widespread religion in the world is what is called theistic religions, religions that believe in God. Okay, why this belief in God is so popular? Why people need God is something very interesting. It is very often human beings need some power beyond them, more powerful than themselves. So they can get help. So I think this idea of protection is a psychological need, idea of protection. So people believe that God can come and help them, right? So this idea, that sense of protection is something ordinary people think they need. They feel they need it. So this is one reason why the religions advocating God has been very popular in the world. Now, religion advocating God, we call them theistic religions. Or we can call them God-centered religion. So in the world, if you look at in the world, these theistic religions are more popular, more widespread. And God-centered religion, same thing. Because the center of religion is God. Now why I am saying is, of course, those religious people, they do many things to propagate their religion all over the world. Sometimes they follow good methods, sometimes they follow questionable methods. But even without these methods, God-centered religions are popular. The reason for popularity is actually this psychological needs. Many people feel that they need a God to get protection. Tell some grievances when things go wrong, they can go to God and pray. In act of prayer, you are asking for something. So, these are some important aspects. So, in that sense, according to George Galloway, the man's faith is a power beyond himself, whereby he seeks to satisfy emotional needs and gains stability. So the emotional needs are very important. So in order for that, they believe in something. It is like this. When we are small children, you remember, when something happens, we run to our mother or father. Right? We run to our mother or father and we, just embrace them. We think that mother and father can protect us. But when we are adult, now all of us are adults, we know that sometimes we may be more powerful than our mother and father, right? So, as adults, we know that our parents are not that powerful. But small children, we think that our parents can do anything, right? We think that our father can do anything, our mother can do anything, our mother can protect us. But when we are grown-up people, we know that maybe our parents are not that powerful. Because we are today, like all of you are over 20, like adults, so we know that we are not that powerful sometimes. But very often ordinary people want to believe something like father. So if they can't believe in their own father, whole concept is that they believe in the Father in heaven. So, this whole concept is father figure, protection, are reasons why this concept is very popular in the world. In the Christianity, you know that Christianity started as a part of Judaism. Jesus was a Jew, right? He was also rabbi. Rabbi means Jewish religious people, Jewish religious priest is called rabbi. So Jesus was a rabbi really. Okay, so it comes from Judaism. But in Jewish language, the children call their father Abba. Abba means father. Father means actually not really, this term is used by children to call their father. Okay? It's not like father, it is like daddy or something. I mean, small children call this word father. Now, in Jesus' language, Jesus called God Abba. Now you can see Jesus called God Abba means Jesus puts himself in the place of a small child. So it's like a small child calling his father. So this is the language he is using to call God. So God as Abba. Abba means father. Not really father, as daddy or something like how small children call their father. So, this concept that people need some kind of emotional stability, protection. These are human needs. So, to believe in that kind of God, providing these things has been very popular in the world. So, this is why man's faith in the power beyond himself, whereby he seeks to satisfy emotional needs and gains stability of life, and which he expresses in acts of worship and service. Now, another interesting definition of religion is by the German author called Rudolf Otto. Rudolf Otto is a very well-known author in philosophy of religion studies. He wrote a book. It was originally in German language. It has been, actually German language is called Das Heilige. In the English translation is the idea of holy. His book is The Idea of Holy, Rudolf Otto. And in this book, originally written in German language, it has been translated into English, The Idea of Holy. He uses the word, the mysterium tremendum, and also numinous dread. What he meant by these terms is non-rational as the key characteristic of religion. Mysterium tremendum and also numinous dread. Mysterium tremendum means the God, the essence of religion is mystery. Mystery. Mystery means something that is not very clear to you, something mystical or something beyond your knowledge. And then numinous dread. Numinous dread means you have to have a sense of fear towards that object. So something mysterious and also something treated with fear. So these are the characteristics of religion. And also he thought that it has a non-rational aspect. So according to Rudolf Otto, religion has involves a mystery, and also it involves sense of fear, and also it involves something non-rational. Now, mystery and sense of fear. Mystery means something that is not clear to you. That is what is meant by mystery. It is a mystery which you don't really, you know that there is something but you don't understand what it is. That is the nature of mystery. You know that there is something but you don't understand what it is. So, your understanding is not sufficient. Your knowledge is not sufficient. You feel that you can never know it. So that is the idea of mystery. And then the other thing is, about it, you have a sense of fear. About it, you have a sense of fear. Okay? And then the third characteristic is that it is non-rational. Non-rational means rational, non-rational. Here, rational means something you cannot explain by language. Something you can explain by concept is called rational. And the non-rational means, in religion, according to Rudolf Otto, there is something that you cannot explain by language. There is something that you cannot tell. You know it, you feel it, but you can't tell it. You can't put into a sentence. You can't describe it. So he thought that these three are the main characteristic of when you talk about a religion. Or religion has to involve a mystery. Religion has to involve a sense of fear, and also religion has to involve something non-rational. Non-rational means, now rational thinking, basically rational means the thinking, an idea that you can explain, describe by language. But then if something you cannot describe by language, then of course it is called non-rational, okay? Try to understand that concept, non-rational. So non-rational means something you cannot describe by language. In religions, very often we come across this idea that religion, the God, cannot be described by language. Now in the Christian, Judeo-Christian tradition, we have this concept. It's called, non-rational is called something like, one idea is God is ineffable. Now God is ineffable. This is a very well-known idea in a lot of religions. Religions that believe in God, they say that God is ineffable. Actually, what is the meaning of ineffable? Ineffable means that God cannot be described by language. Ineffable means cannot be described by language, cannot be conceptualized, cannot describe by a concept. So God is ineffable. Now that means that God is non-rational. Non-rational means you cannot describe God, the essence of this religion, by words, by language. Now in the Christian tradition you call God is ineffable. In the same manner, in the Hindu tradition in India, they have a similar view. They believe that ultimately the Brahman, that is the essence of the religion, Brahman cannot be described by words. Brahman cannot be described by words. So in Sanskrit language, they have two concepts to denote this idea. They say that Brahman is avachya, and also Brahman is anirvachaniya. These two are Sanskrit terms, Sanskrit language terms. Avachya, vach means word or language. Vachya means that can be described by language. Avachya means that cannot be described by language. So the Atman, Brahman, according to Hinduism, is avachya. Avachya means cannot be described by language. And also Atman, Brahman is Anirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya. Nirvachana means definition. Now we looked at definition of religion. Nirvachaniya means that can be defined. Something that can be given a definition is called nirvachaniya. Anirvachaniya means something that cannot be described by language. So according to Hinduism, Atman and Brahman are avachya and anirvachaniya. Avachya, that cannot be described by language. Anirvachaniya, that cannot be defined by language. Now we started discussion by defining religion. But although the term religion may be defined according to Judeo-Christian tradition, God is ineffable. According to Hindu religion, the Brahman, Atman and Brahman are avachya and anirvachaniya. So whenever you have personal God coming into the scene, the God is defined as ineffable, that cannot be described by language. So this is not only to religion but Judeo-Christian tradition, but also it is common to the Hindu tradition. When I use this word Judeo-Christian religion, actually Judeo-Christian religion or Judeo-Christian tradition means it comes from Judaism. This is the original form of Christianity, Judaism, and then from Christianity comes, after that from Judaism comes Christianity, and then after Christianity came Islam. Now when we talk about Judeo-Christian religion or Judeo-Christian religious tradition, what we mean by basically Judaism and Christianity coming together. Now I think you know about some of these basic things. As I said earlier, Jesus Christ was a Jew, and he was a Jew rabbi, religious person. However, what he said was rejected by Judaism. Then what he said became what is called gospel or New Testament, good message, New Testament. So the Old Testament is Judaism, New Testament is Christianity. Now in Christianity both Old and New are accepted. In Judaism, New Testament, that means Jesus' doctrine is not accepted. That is the difference, okay. So however, for Christianity, Judaism is also included because Christianity follows the God who is believed in Judaism, right? So therefore, Christianity has both. Of course, Judaism does not accept Christianity. So this is the difference. But Christianity was started from Judaism because Jesus Christ was a Jew. And Jesus Christ was a Jew, religious person, Rabbi, R-A-B-I. Rabbi means Jewish religious person. But then when he said that he is the Son of God, Jewish people thought that, his head has gone wrong or something, Then finally he got the help of Roman rulers and, he was crucified. But that's a Christian story. But anyhow, when we say Judeo-Christian tradition, now in the Judeo-Christian tradition, the concept of God is central. So in that sense, the God has been defined as a mystery, involving a sense of fear, and also very importantly, non-rational, because God has this very important aspect of God being non-rational. So that is Rudolf Otto. And then next definition of religion is by Sigmund Freud. I think all of you know who Sigmund Freud is. He is one of the greatest psychologists in last century. He is a German psychologist, and then in psychology his idea was psychoanalysis. That is the main idea Sigmund Freud presented. So Sigmund Freud says psychoanalytic investigation of the unconscious mental life reveals that religious beliefs correspond closely with the fantasies of infantile life, mainly unconscious ones, concerning the sexual life of one's parents and the conflict that gave rise to. This is what Sigmund Freud says. Now Sigmund Freud's definition, if you look at carefully, is very interesting because it connects why do we believe in religion. According to Sigmund Freud, particularly why do we believe in religion like God. Now when Sigmund Freud talks about religion, he is talking about not Buddhism or anything, right? He is basically talking about God-centered religion. In Europe, it is the Christianity, Judaism or Islam. So in that sense, God-centered religion, he says, psychoanalytic investigation of the unconscious mental life. Now, according to Sigmund Freud, a lot of things we do as adults start from very unconscious state of mind as small children. So something that was unconscious. Now unconscious means you don't even know about them clearly. That is what it means to say unconscious. You don't even know about them. So unconscious mental life reveals that religious beliefs correspond closely. Now religious beliefs closely correspond, related with the fantasies of infantile life. Fantasies of infantile life. Fantasy means, the things we create in our mind. Things we want to do as infant children. The things we create, stories we create, the kind of things we create in our mind. So the infantile life, mainly unconscious ones. These fantasies are again unconscious. Concerning the sexual life of one's parents. Now, for example, a child may have certain unconscious things about mother and father. Now, it is a very well-known idea. When someone is a small boy, he develops an attraction to his mother, according to Freud. When it's a girl develops an attraction to the father. So, children have this attraction to the mother and to the father. And then what happens is, if it is a child boy, he likes his mother so much and he dislikes his father. And if the child is a girl, she likes her father very much and dislikes the mother. So, in that sense, according to Freud, there are certain conflicts in our infantile unconscious we develop. Of course, we don't, if you ask from a child will never say that. But unconsciously, even without your knowledge, certain things about your parents are developed in your mind according to Sigmund Freud. So according to Sigmund Freud, what you develop in your unconscious mind ultimately lead you to believe in a father figure or God. Remember, by religion we are talking about the God-centered religion here, okay? By religion we are talking God-centered religion. So why do people believe in God? According to Sigmund Freud, this something to do with our infantile fantasies we develop. Something we develop as the children. So in that cultural context, religious context, people start believing it. So the Sigmund Freud's analysis of religion is very interesting because he connects it to the our psychology, our state of mind. So that's how it starts. However, once it is started, even though we are adults, we continue with that belief. So that is why so many people believe in. So even though it started as the infantile, like childish thing, we grow up with that belief, then we continue to have that belief in God. Okay, so that is according to Sigmund Freud. Now, finally, I have definition from Karl Marx. Now this definition is also very, very important and also very well known in the world. Now how does Karl Marx define religion? According to Karl Marx, religion is the sigh of an oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world. Just as it is the spirit of spiritless situation, it is the opium of masses. It is the opium of masses. This last sentence is, very well known all over the world because according to Karl Marx, religion is the opium of the masses. What is the opium? Opium is something actually today we don't hear very much, but say last century and the 19th century, say about more than 100 years ago, people in the world smoke opium in order to get intoxicated. Like today people have alcohol or people take drugs today. Now those days this kind of drugs were not there. What was there was opium. Opium is more like, I think some people chew it, like took it from the mouth. The others smoke it. So when you get addicted to it, you can't get rid of it. So the opium causes addiction. Addiction means you get addicted to something. You cannot, even though you want addiction, addiction. You get addicted to something. You cannot be away with that. You can't get rid of that. That is the addiction. So opium is what you get addiction. Now here you see again this definition of religion according to Karl Marx is the religion according to European situation. Karl Marx is a German. He lived in England. So he lived in towards the last part of the 19th century. So it was basically the Christian religion. Now in the Christian religion, it was taught that in the 18th century, 19th century, situation in Europe was very unsatisfactory. A lot of people were very poor, and only some people were very rich, others were very poor. Then what happens was church, Christianity taught that you are poor because of your past bad karma, things you have done bad. So if you want to be born in the heaven, you have to be good in this life. Be obedient, be good. So the whole idea was that the religion wanted to keep poor people in the same situation, but for poor people to not to voice their opposition to it. They have to accept that they are poor because of their fault. But Karl Marx thought that people are poor not because of they have done bad things in their life, but because people are poor because of the wrong social system. That was the Karl Marx view. So accordingly, Karl Marx said that religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature. Now oppressed creature means the oppressed person who is oppressed by people with money and people with power. So those people don't have any place to turn toward. They have only religion. Okay, only religion. And then heart of a heartless world. Religion is the only one religion that sympathizes with them. But of course, religion will say that you are suffering because of the God's will. You are suffering because you did not do things, the good things, that sort of thing. So, heartless world. Just as it is the spirit of spiritless situation, when your whole energy is lost, but still, religion is supposed to provide energy to you. When you think about God, when you think about religion. And then ultimately, it is the opium of masses. Because it works as the opium. It works as the addiction. People get addicted to religion. People don't have anywhere else to go. So in other words, in Europe, during that period, religion justified the existing wrong system. People are poor, people are suffering, but religion says that, okay, in order to be born in the heaven next life, you have to bear the suffering. You can't change it, you have to accept it, you have to bear it, and then by being good people who can bear it, you will be born in the heaven in the next world or something. So that was what religion said. So Karl Marx's definition of religion comes from that. Religion is the sigh of an oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world. Just as it is the spirit of spiritual situation, it is the opium of the masses. Now, when we look at these religions, we can ask a question, is Buddhism a religion in that sense? Terms used in the discourses refer to the teachings of the Buddha are Sasana and Dhammavinaya. I will come to this point later, but I will move into the next one and then see. Now, okay, what we saw are some definitions of religion. Now, a religion usually includes the following. When we talk about religion today, actually religion includes not only belief, as we said earlier. It is not only the belief, religion includes 4 things. Now, what I am saying is religion includes system of belief. System of belief, doctrines and teachings, a set of practices, rites and rituals, an organization with hierarchical structure of clergy, sacred text and objects. In fact, when we look at these four things, this is common to any religion, including Buddhism. Okay, this is common to any religion, including Buddhism. Not only for the kind of religion we defined so far, but if you look at carefully, any religion you have these 4 aspects. Number 1 is a system of beliefs. There are certain things we believe. Now, for example, in the theistic religion, God-centered religion, you believe in God exists. In the theistic religion, you believe that God exists, and also you believe that heaven exists, and also you believe that hell exists. So, like that, there is a set of beliefs for any religion. People believe. In other words, that is more for the psychological aspect of religion. The religion has a very important psychological aspect. So the system of beliefs, what person believes. So that's the number 1. And then religion has doctrines and teachings. Religion has doctrines and teachings. So if you take any religion, there are doctrines. For example, in Christianity, there are certain things what is called dogma. Dogma means the beliefs that have to be accepted without any question. You begin with dogma. So in Christianity, you have dogmas. In the same manner, if you take any religion, there are different religious beliefs. For example, as Buddhists, we believe karma, rebirth, and things like that. So there are set of beliefs, and that's the belief aspect, and then doctrines and teachings. So there are doctrines and teachings in a religion. So in any religion, there is a doctrinal aspect, explanation of heaven, hell, and other things. So the doctrinal aspect is one aspect. Now in Buddhism, if you take doctrines, we know that 4 Noble Truths, 8-fold Path. So 37 Bodhipakkhya Dhamma, Paticcasamuppada. So in that manner, in Buddhism there is a set of doctrines. Okay. Now, next one is a set of practices, rites and rituals. The third one is very important. You have a set of practices, beliefs, things we do. Now in Buddhist terminology, we can call it Patipatti. Pariyatti, Patipatti and Pativeda. So Patipatti means practice. Now there are things we do religiously. So So the practices, things. If you look at any religion, you can see that in the religions have different practices. Buddhism also has practices. You have the practice of Vasana and then Katina. Now these are not common to other religions, right? These are only in Buddhism you find them. So these are practices. These are the things you do. And then finally there is an organization with hierarchical structure, clergy, sacred text and objects. Now the fourth aspect is the organizational aspect. When you say religion, it has an organizational aspect. If you take Christianity, you have Pope and then cardinals, bishops and then priests. And then finally you have ordinary people. Right? So there is a hierarchy gradually going up from ordinary people. Now, so in the Christianity you have highest person to be the Pope. Right? So the Pope is the highest person, and then from Pope down you have cardinals, bishops and priests. Any religion has the clergy and also the sacred texts that are considered to be the most important, sacred texts. And objects. Objects are like the relics, statues, things like that. So when you use the word religion today, actually you can see that although we had definitions giving more emphasis to psychological aspect, but when we use the word today, religion, actually we are using this term to indicate mainly these things: a system of belief, doctrines and teachings, a set of practices, rites and rituals, and also an organizational structure, organization. Along with that, we have other concepts. When we talk about religion, there is a division of what is called sacred and profane in religion. Sacred and profane in religion. Now in religions, you have this distinction. Certain things to be sacred, certain things to be profane. Now certain things to be sacred. Now sacred can be the reverential, respect-worthy, either individuals can be sacred, or the religious teachers can be sacred, religious objects can be sacred. So what is considered to be holy? So sacred is the characteristic of religion. Religion is identified with sacred objects and sacred people. Okay? So now profane means something not sacred, something worldly. Things belonging to the world are considered to be the profane. Now if you take religion, in a religion, even the religious place is considered to be sacred. So people pay homage. Like when people pass a religious place, if they are traveling in a bus or car, they kind of try to stand up and show respect. They bow their head and try to show respect. Before religious people, people come and bow down. Before the monks and nuns, people come and bow down. Why? Because those people are considered to be sacred. Religious building, we remove shoes and we come without shoes, because that is considered to be sacred. In this country, in the 19th century, in Myanmar, when the British came, British refused to remove their shoes. There was a very big issue about it, because people never liked the British coming into the sacred places with shoes. So it so happened that if they did not remove their shoes, so British people were held up like this, were taken in, but the Buddhists never allowed the place to be touched with shoes. I hope you know that stories in the recent history of Burma. Because the sacred places are considered to be so sacred that in our culture we believe that you must not wear shoes. Okay. But it depends on different cultures. In cultures like very cold cultures, shoes are part of the dress. You are wearing shoes all the time because it is cold. But in tropical countries like Burma, Sri Lanka and all these things, shoe is not really a very much necessary thing. It could be something ornament, something like that. Anyhow, people consider that, you never go to a sacred place with your shoes. Because the place is considered to be sacred. And the people are considered to be sacred. Places are considered to be sacred. And also texts are considered to be sacred. A Dhamma book, you don't just throw it away. You respect the book. You pay homage to the book. Why? Because you consider it to be sacred. But if you are not a Buddhist, Buddhist books are not sacred to you. The Christian people, the Bible is sacred. But if you are not a Christian, Bible is not sacred to you. So it's like that. But basically a religion has these two domains. These domains are sacred and profane. So the sacred is the term that is used to denote the religious objects, the religion. So the sacred is considered to be religious. The profane means something not sacred. In other words, here religion, based on religion, the world is divided into two parts. There are certain sacred objects and there are the other things are profane. Something that is not included in religion are considered to be profane. Now there is a very well-known book by author of religion. The title of the book is Sacred and Profane in Religion. Now these two concepts are considered to be two categories. So when we say something is sacred, we say that it's associated with religion. Okay. Now again we can see that this concept of sacredness is developed in religions from the beginning. Not only in Christianity or Judeo-Christian tradition religions, but also in Buddhism and other religions, we have this concept of sacredness. You remember in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, Buddha says to Venerable Ananda that there are 4 places associated with the Buddha's life that faithful follower of the Buddha would want to visit. The place where Buddha was born, the place where Buddha attained enlightenment, the place where Buddha gave the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta first sermon, and then place where Buddha attained parinirvana. Buddha says that these 4 places are worthy of attending by faithful followers. Now what is the meaning of this? The place where the Buddha is born, the place where Buddha attained enlightenment. Now there you can see the certain places become sacred because of certain events in religion. So in India these 4 places are considered to be sacred because they are associated with the life of the Buddha. And then if you have any place associated with the life of the Buddha, it is the same thing. Like in Sri Lanka, we believe that Buddha visited Sri Lanka 3 times, and then during these 3 times, he visited different places. Identified 16 places. Now these 16 places are respected even today because we believe that Buddha visited. We have Sri Pada, where the Buddha's footprint is located. We believe that located because we respect that place because we believe that Buddha's real footprint is there. So the sacred objects. Okay. Now I see in this country sometimes when a great Buddhist monk passed away, there is kind of museum with his spectacles, with the walking stick he used and with the chair, table he used. Why? Because these things are considered to be sacred. So this idea of sacredness is something very popular in religion. Now in our day-to-day life, certain objects are very dear to us. Like say for example, if you love your mother so much, whatever your mother uses is dear to you. But those are not really sacred. Those are considered to be very dear to you because of your relationship with your mother. But in a religion, the difference is what is considered to be sacred is, common to all the followers of that religion. So it has a much broader applicability. So the way we believe that Buddha's footprint is there, it is important for all the Buddhists. Okay, so like that. So the sacred is a category. Sacred is the idea associated with religion. So because religious things are associated with sacredness, other things are described as profane. Profane means that are not sacred. Okay. So this category is a very important category. If you want to know more about it, you can Google it and look at some basic things in references like Wikipedia, where you can get more details about this concept. But basically, when we talk about there is certain things set aside as sacred, and other things are considered to be the profane or not sacred. And then also we have esotericism and exotericism in religion. Now esotericism and exotericism means basically, esotericism means we can say internal. Exotericism means external. Now when we talk about religions, there is another category. This important thing is esotericism and exotericism. Now esotericism means, number one, esotericism means something that is included in religion. That means include few things that are considered to be internal, and there are certain things external. Now for example, just to give you example, in religion there are certain things you can see in public. There are certain things you cannot see in public. For example, we will take the Katina Pinkama yesterday here. You can see esotericism and exotericism. People come and people do offerings, and all these things are what people can see. Anybody can participate. But however, the pavarana associated with Katina is not for everybody, right? Pavarana is performed only by the Upasampada monks, right? No ordinary people can take part in that. So pavarana is what is called internal. However, Katina is external. All people come to the temple and the monastery, and they make offerings, they give dana. So in religions you have this thing. Certain things are considered to be the internal. Certain things are considered to be external. So what you see from up is internal. Now in Buddhist monasteries we have casket of relics of the Buddha. But you see the casket, but you don't see the relics. Because relics is internal. In Sri Lanka we have tooth relic of the Buddha, and we believe that every year there is a big huge procession, but they never take tooth relic out. You never see the tooth relic. What you see is only the casket. Even we don't know whether it is the real casket or not, but what you see is something outside. You don't see the inside. So the religion has this, not only in Buddhism. I just gave you some examples from Buddhism because we are familiar with. But in any religion there are certain things exoteric and certain things esoteric. Certain things external, certain things internal. However, this idea is little deeper than the objects. The idea is deeper in the sense, sometimes in religions there are certain teachings, certain doctrines, certain ideas given only to very close people. They are not given outside. Now you remember, Indian example is Upanishad. I think you all have heard about Upanishad, right? Upanishad literature. Upanishad means in the Vedic tradition, Veda, Aranyaka, Brahmana, Upanishad. Upanishad. It comes from like that. Upanishad means the idea that a teacher would reveal only to his trusted pupil. He will not give that to anybody and everybody. Okay? He will give it only to the trusted pupil. So that is the idea of Upanishad. Now, Upanishad is a very good example for esotericism, internal. You are not giving it to anybody and everybody. So what is in the Upanishads were given only to the trusted, the best student. Okay? Now, Buddhism, it is very clear that Buddha did not accept this idea. Again, in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, you must read Mahaparinibbana Sutta, you will see that Buddha says that when he was close to Parinirvana, Buddha says that I have taught the doctrine, the words he is using is Anantarang Abahirang Katva. Anantarang Abahirang Katva. I did not make it esoteric, I did not make it exoteric. So these two words, Anantarang Abahirang. Na Antarang. Antara means internal, inside. Buddha says that I taught the doctrine Anantarang. I did not make it internal. Abahirang. I did not make certain things external. Which means that Buddha says that I taught the doctrine to you all without any distinction. Buddha never considered to be some disciples to be internal and some disciples to be external. So therefore Buddha did, like in the Upanishad, Buddha didn't teach certain things only to some people. Buddha taught everything to everybody, right? There is no secret teaching. In Buddhism, there is no secret teaching. However, in the Upanishad is a secret teaching. Okay? So in religions, now first I said esoteric and exoteric. I explained with the taking a very common concept like rites and rituals, things we do. However, esotericism and exotericism has a deeper meaning. Deeper meaning is the religious teachings, certain secrets. Secretive teachings you don't tell anybody and everybody. You tell these things only for a limited group of disciples, something. Buddha says that Buddha never did that. Buddha says Buddha never did that. So that is why towards the end of his life, at the Parinirvana, Buddha says to the monks, ask any questions you have. But nobody asks questions, like in this class. Okay. Then Buddha said that, okay, if you don't ask questions directly, you get a friend to ask question. If you don't want to ask it directly, you tell your friend to ask that on behalf of you. Even then, of course, there was no questions. But then Buddha said that I have taught everything without making it internal or external. So the Pāli terms are Anantarang Abahirang Katva. I taught the Dhamma without making it either abhantara, internal, or without making it either external. Okay? So, but in religions, in many religions, you can have this kind of things. So, esotericism and exotericism in religion. So, these are some of the characteristics of religions we can see. Now, I will go to the next. We have types of religion, theistic and non-theistic religions, theistic and monistic, and so on and so forth. However, before going into it, let me go to the question we left behind. Now here I ask whether is Buddhism a religion? Terms used in the discourses refer to the teachings of the Buddha as Sasana and the Dhamma Vinaya. Now you know what religion is. We look at the definition. Now the one question I can raise is whether Buddhism considered to be a religion in this sense. Whether Buddhism is a religion in this sense. Can we call Buddhism a religion? How do you answer this question? What is Buddhism? Is it a religion? Actually, when we look at the definition of religion, okay, when we look at the definition of religion, even here we have mysterium tremendum, numinous dread, and before that we have belief in superhuman controlling power, especially in a personal God. And then second, we have man's faith in a power beyond himself. Now, although we use the term religion to describe Buddhism, actually if you look at carefully, you can see that according to these definitions, it is very difficult to call Buddhism a religion. Now, belief in a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal God. Now, do we have that characteristic in Buddhism? Do we have the belief in the personal God? Do we have or do we not have? We don't have belief in the personal God. Of course, we do believe that there are gods exist in the world, right? Devas exist and the Brahmas exist, so we do believe that there are gods. But Buddhists don't believe in a superhuman creator God, okay? So in that sense, you can see that Buddhism cannot be called religion in the sense it does not involve a belief in a superhuman controlling power, especially in a personal God. And then also man's faith in a power beyond himself. If a person believes in about a power beyond himself and emotional needs. Now, when you look at these things again, there is a question whether we can call Buddhism a religion. Particularly if you take religion, the defining character of religion as a belief in the superhuman God, actually Buddhism is not a religion, okay? Now also we look at next definition in Mysterium Tremendum, Rudolf Otto, non-rational as the key characteristic of religion. Now here we see the mystery. Also we looked at the sense of fear or non-rational. So these three things. And if you look at carefully, we can see that in Buddhism we do not find these things. A mystery, sense of fear and non-rational. You know, it is very interesting. I have seen, particularly in Sri Lanka, I have seen in the Buddhist monasteries, we have in some monasteries, we have special places for different gods. Like, you know, gods Vishnu, Katragaman, you know, there are different types of gods. And also there is a place, shrine room for the Buddha. And I have always seen that small children go and run around the Buddha statue and they play around. But they never go to the shrine of the god and play around, they are scared. In other words, people are not scared of the Buddha, but they are scared of God. So the small children, even small children, they go and play around the Buddha statue. They play hide and seek, all kinds of things, but they don't go to the god's shrine to do that. Because you can see that in Buddhism, fear is not the basis of religion. Okay? But in God-centered religions, basically the fear of God. Fear is a very important factor. You are scared of God. You are afraid of God. Because basically God is associated with punishment. So God is the one who punishes. So if God punishes, God gets angry, God will punish you. Now in the Judeo-Christian tradition, you have this idea. God gets angry. Then when the God gets angry, God punishes his followers. But we don't have that kind of concept in Buddhism, right? We know that Buddha doesn't get angry anyway, right? Buddha's lobha, dosa, moha are gone. Buddha is not getting angry. And Buddha is not a god. And also Buddha is not punishing anybody. So, people are not scared of the Buddha. Buddha doesn't get angry. Buddha doesn't punish. But the concept of God in many religions is basically associated with the idea of, the punishing God, angry God. So the God is angry, God is punishing. So you can see looking from that point of view, actually you cannot call Buddhism a religion. So the way the religion has been defined, you cannot call Buddhism a religion. Okay. However, on the other hand, today in English language, today we use this word when we are talking about the world religions. Now when we talk about the world religions, we are talking about Judaism, Christianity, Islam from the West, and from the East we talk about Hinduism and Buddhism. So these are the 5 world religions. So we talk about Buddhism as a religion. Now although according to the definition, according to this definition, Buddhism cannot be described religion, right? And not only according to those definitions, even according to Sigmund Freud's definition or Karl Marx's definition. Now Marxism is against religion, people believe. However, Marxist criticism of religion really came from the Christianity and the Western idea of religion. Okay. So the Marxist criticism of religion is not totally, some sense, certain things are applicable to Buddhism also, but not totally. So according to these definitions, we cannot say Buddhism is a religion. Okay. However, if you look at now look at this thing. A religion usually includes the following: a system of belief, doctrines and teachings, a set of practices and rites and rituals, an organization with hierarchical structure of clergy, sacred texts and objects. Now I say that when we use the word religion today, now forgetting about the definition, forgetting about the dictionary definition, now how do we use this term today? When we are using this term today, we are using it to refer to these 4 different things. Now according to these 4 different things, is Buddhism a religion or not? Buddhism can be called a religion, right? Because in Buddhism, you can see all these 4 aspects. A system of beliefs. Have you seen this Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda's book, What Buddhists Believe? See, there are, if you want to know what Buddhists believe, you can look at K. Sri Dhammananda's book. So there are many things Buddhists believe. Belief in the sense Buddhists accept. That's what it means. We believe in the karma and the result. We believe in the punabhava, rebirth. So these are, these are the systems of belief. So the Buddhist believe these things. So we have in Buddhism a set of beliefs and doctrines and teachings. 4 Noble Truths, 8-fold Path, Paticca, and so on. We have doctrines. And then set of practices, rites and rituals. Practices. What are the practices? Practices mean things we do associated with things. Like going for alms, pindapata. It's a Buddhist practice, right? But of course in India, it was among the religious people, other Sramanas, Jaina tradition, all the Indian traditions have this concept of pindapata. But not Christianity, Judaism or Islam. They don't have that. So we do have certain practices. Observing Vasana is a Buddhist thing. Of course, Jainas have that too. So, there are certain Indian things, but there are these practices. And there are certain practices only for the Buddhist. Only Buddhists follow. Now, during the Vasana season, some people observe 8 precepts. Now, that's a Buddhist practice, rites and ritual. So, there are. Now, then the last one is an organization with hierarchical structure. So, we also have Sangha Council, Sangha Nayaka, Nayaka Thera, Mahanayaka, ministry, and in all these things, right? So, now if we look at how the word religion used today in language, we can see that religion is used to refer to all 4 of these things or any one or several of these things, okay? Now, in that sense, we can say Buddhism is also a religion, right? Now, I hope what I am trying to tell you is clear. In basic sense of defining religion as belief in superhuman God, we cannot say Buddhism is a religion, okay? But however, in a general sense, the way the word is being used, we can say Buddhism is a religion. Now another important point is when you look at Buddhism, when you look at the teaching of the Buddha, how would the Buddha describe his own tradition? Now I think I said in the morning, the one word is sasana. One word is sasana. We have that sabba papassa karanam, kusalasa upasampada, sachitta paryodapadam, etang buddhana sasana. Sasana. What is the meaning of the word sasana? Basically, message, teaching. However, today when we say Buddha Sasana, we don't not only say the message of the Buddha, we say Buddha Sasana means the organization, right? We say Buddha Sasana exists in Myanmar. That means not only the teaching of the Buddha. There are monks, there are syalas, there are temples, there are all these things. So everything today we call it Sasana. Okay, so sasana originally means message, teaching. However, today we are using sasana as an organization. Okay, Buddha Sasana was established in Myanmar by Sona Uttara. So that means organization, right? So sasana. The other word the Buddha would use to describe his own system is Dhamma Vinaya. Imasmin Dhamma Vinaya. Now what is Dhamma and Vinaya? Dhamma Vinaya. Dhamma is the doctrine, Vinaya is the practice. So we can say in a way, Dhamma Vinaya, theory and practice. Or Dhamma the doctrine, the teaching, Vinaya means discipline. So the teaching and the discipline, theory and the practice. Buddha says something and then the practice. So actually these are the two terms in the discourses you find to refer to the Buddha's teaching or Buddha's organization. So sasana. So not religion really. Now you can see that in that sense, although in English language we use the word religion today, in Buddhism we don't have a similar term. Term we have is sasana. Sasana originally means the message of the Buddha and subsequently sasana means the organization. Okay? And the other one is Dhamma Vinaya. Dhamma Vinaya is basically the teaching and the practice. But Buddha uses it in Pāli language, Imasmin Dhamma Vinaya, singular form. Not two things. Imasmin Dhamma Vinaya means in this teaching and practice. So, Imasmin Dhamma Vinaya, in this organization. So you see these are the two terms that are used. Why these two terms are very important? Because when you consider Buddhism as a religion, actually Buddha has viewed this as basically a teaching and the practice based on that. That was Buddhism. Now when the Buddha taught Dhamma, why did the Buddha teach Dhamma to people? Just to show that he is a good preacher? No. Buddha wanted people to practice it. Right? Follow it. That was the idea. Practice and follow it. So therefore the whole idea was Dhamma Vinaya means teaching and the practice. So in that sense, these two terms are very important to understand because it gives how Buddhism would perceive itself. So Buddhism would not call, now Buddha is not a god. So Buddhism cannot be really defined in a regular sense. Okay, but in Buddhism itself, Buddha has viewed his system as a combination of teaching and the practice. Okay, I think we are coming to a conclusion of our discussion. What I try to do today is basically in this initial discussion to show you how that word religion has been defined by different people. Okay. Now we found basically that religion is defined as something centered around a personal God. Okay. And then we looked at some other characteristics associated with religion, right? Different definitions, different characteristics associated. And also we saw that as a general term, the religion is used to refer to 4 different things today. Even if you don't use the word religion, we can say Buddha Sasana. But when we talk about Buddha Sasana today, we are talking about all these 4 things actually. So in that sense, Buddhism is also a religion. I'm saying this because sometimes people ask, is Buddhism a religion? Now how are you going to answer that question? Some people will say, no, Buddhism is not religion. But we have to be careful. According to the dictionary definition, we can say that no, Buddhism is not a religion in this sense. But on the other hand, like any other religion, Buddhism has all these things. So in that sense, we can say Buddhism is also a religion. Okay. So in other words, what I am saying to you is, in some sense, we can say Buddhism is not a religion. Particularly the way it has been defined in the dictionaries, it has been defined in the scholarly academic writings as religion involving supernatural, superhuman being. We can say Buddhism is not religion. But on the other hand, we can say that yes, Buddhism is a religion in this sense. Now even in Buddhism, we know that some Buddhist traditions, like some Mahayana traditions, consider Buddhism to be almost a god. Now their definition of Buddhism is very close to the dictionary definition of Buddhism. But when we talk about Buddhism, we have also to be clear that we are basically talking about Theravada Buddhism. Because not all Mahayana Buddhists, there are certain, like particularly Pure Land Buddhism, Sukhavati Vyuha. Pure Land Buddhism comes very close to theistic belief. It's very close. Not exactly same, but of course it is very close to believing in a theistic God. But in the Theravada tradition, we can say that basically Buddhism has been viewed as Sasana, Buddha Sasana, or Dhamma Vinaya. Okay, in my next session we will be continuing from that point of view. So thank you for participating for today. If you have any questions, we can spend a few minutes to discuss. Okay. Now we are not getting ready to leave. I am opening for discussion. Don't pack up things yet, okay? Any questions?
We have the desire of the Buddhas, like in the Madhyama Sutta. The Buddha asks the disciples any question, if you have any questions, that every month kept their silence in that time. Now we are doing the same.
But I am not trying to attain Parinirvana, okay, so you can ask questions. So if you don't have any questions, we can wind up. But please, if you have any questions, you can always write them down and bring them to the class. We can discuss with them if you have any. I mean, you don't have to agree with everything I say. If you have any disagreement, if you don't like something I say, you can always say, what does it mean? I don't accept that or something. It's perfectly okay, all right? So you can give your opinions. All right, then we will meet next time. Thank you very much.